So folks, welcome. One more show from Rumble. This is more or less on the defense series, if you want to call it that. I have Commodore Shekhar with me, who, as you know, apart from being in the Navy itself, he's been doing research work on which way is the Indian Navy going and are we prepared for the challenges of the future. And one major challenge is manning. So we're going to talk about why are we finding it so difficult to find good people to man the Indian Navy and for any other allied services. So welcome to the show, Commodore.
Hi, Madhav. Nice
to
be here again.
This thing about manning, which we just touched it last time, we didn't really go into any great depths. What is our problem in India? We've got an army of people, as they say.
Right. Madhav, the word manning, as you say, is a very, very typically Fauji kind of word.
Yes.
That means you have a ship out or an aircraft or a tank or something. So you need people to man positions in that ship. So manning is staffing or in corporate sector, staffing. Yes, there is a problem with finding people to man positions on a ship. Let us say.
Let's talk ships. Yeah.
Let's take the ship as the unit. When we say Indian Navy, the fighting unit of the Indian Navy is a ship.
Yes.
Now, today's Indian Navy, as we discussed over the last couple of episodes, is a very high-tech Navy.
So manning is not so critical anymore.
No. It's a high-tech Navy.
Okay.
Therefore, the people who man these ships have also to be high-tech.
Okay.
I myself am, as you know, a submariner.
Yeah.
And from the electrical branch. Mm-hmm. Now, this word electrical branch is a funny thing, and I've always wondered why it is called this. The Indian Navy has got the executive branch, which is equivalent, let us say, to the IAS in the
more admin type of.
No. They are the guys who take decisions. I mean, Chief of Naval Staff, CNCs, and command positions. All these are from the executive branch.
Okay.
And they are groomed upwards right from their entry days, sub-lieutenant days, up through various programs, courses, and practical experience of commanding ships and all that.
Okay.
That's the executive branch. It's a general service branch. They'll do anything. Then you have the
specialized branches.
Marine engineers
and
the electrical engineers.
Yes.
So the marine engineers are the guys who deal with anything which makes the ship move. So all the, not only the, marine engineering in the sense that it's for marine purposes, but on board a ship, even the auxiliaries, like compressors and
all the machinery, in fact, everything.
Machinery, that's right, that's the word, auxiliary machinery.
Yeah.
So all people,
not just propulsion, everything else associated.
People who man all that are the marine engineering branch guys.
Yes.
Both at the officer and sailor level.
Yeah.
You then have the electrical, should have been electrical engineering branch, but the marine engineers are called engineers.
So these guys.
And the electrical engineers are called electrical officers. As if we spark up.
We used to have it in the merchant navy, they were called Batti Saab.
Batti Saab, the same guys.
And Batti Saab went through a revolution and then finally emerged as electrical engineers.
Right.
Electrical officers.
So therefore, in the Indian Navy, anything where current flows, right? Radar, sonar, communications, propulsion, anything, lighting, the whole shooting
signaling, this, that, everything.
Is all electrical branch.
Okay.
Right. I'm from that electrical branch. Now, I'm 30 years ago. Technology, that's the kind of ships that or submarines that I was on. So at that point of time, the officer-man relationship, whether it's the marine engineering branch or electrical engineering branch, or for that matter the executive branch, was the officers took the decisions, supervised, and the work got done by the non-officers.
Carried out by them.
It's standard stuff. Now, the difference in the technology knowledge levels of the officer and the non-officer in the electrical branch 30 years ago, if you put it at unit 10, today it is not so. Okay. The technology levels in the Navy itself have gone up.
Yeah.
And in technology, the difference in knowledge of technology between officer and man has gone down.
So that gap is narrowing, you mean? Getting closer.
Narrowed already. Which means that whereas you needed people of higher technology capability to be an officer, and a lower technology capability to be a non-officer or an artificer.
Or a rating level, but now everything is gone.
Everything
gone
is
up.
gone. The executive branch of the Indian Navy today, which passes out of the Naval Academy, Ejimala, they hold a B.Tech. They have a B.Tech. That means officers who enter are commissioned in the Indian Navy today. They're all
full-fledged engineers. They're basically engineers.
Full-fledged engineers. Now, it was something which we couldn't have imagined about 30 years ago. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, it's a good thing because technology has gone up, but to find people who will fit those roles, may be tougher.
There are two things which happen. Number one, finding guys to join the Navy, both at officer level and non-officer level, is becoming difficult. Because if you're going to be technology savvy, etc.,
you might as well.
Exactly. Why go to a ship?
Yeah, why go to a ship?
Air conditioned comfort, computer screen and
weekend discotheques.
Absolutely.
Every week.
Beer, bistro.
That's true.
And then San Jose and all that.
Yes.
Why the Navy? So that's one problem. But even if you're able to get the officers, getting the sailors is difficult. The second aspect of it is, I commanded INS Valsura, which is the alma mater of the electrical and weapon system engineering branch. Okay. I trained there myself and subsequently went there as commanding officer. Finding faculty to train in that institution is becoming difficult, right? But more subtle problem is the officer-man relationship, right? Okay. Whereas imagine the army where
you just bark out your orders and it's done.
Charge and they
the light brigade goes.
Not here. So you have to be very, very careful. And because, after all, between being an officer and a sailor, there are differences in authority and responsibility, and most importantly, of remuneration.
Correct.
In those days, there was a difference in knowledge which justified the difference between the authority and responsibility, which you can't really write off only to experience, and the knowledge levels. Today it is not so. So there is a problem. So if some guy...
So why not make everybody an officer, as they do I think in America, they don't have
this huge
differences.
No, that's not so.
No?
There is no such
I thought they've done away with the ratings as such, and everybody's a petty officer and above.
No. You've been a merchant navy officer yourself.
There they don't. Yeah, we're still continuing with the old stuff.
Merchant navy you still have, and see, any time, Madhav, any aspect of human endeavor, you have to have the leader and the led. That's the difference between the officer and the non-officer.
True.
So, this enigmatic thing called officer-like qualities, which are there in the officers and it's supposed to be inculcated in institutions of which I am very proud of, like the NDA and upwards, okay, where you're taught that officers have certain code and conduct and so on and so forth. This is not to denigrate the non-officer. They also have the same sense of discipline, and etc. But the moment you link leadership and being led, you can't do away with this. But it poses a psychological problem. I have in fact addressed, mixed gatherings of officers and men where some of these problems we've spoken about.
So we'll come back, we'll pursue this more because we are leading to man and man problem, not just machine and man. It's people are now getting to be problematic. We'll find out what's that all about. So when did the Navy start recognizing that we have a problem, that we need to focus attention on skilling, which those days was assumed that the officers would teach the ratings, whatever they need to do, or the petty officer would treat. But now it's become, the Navy is taken on that responsibility?
No, the Navy is always taking the responsibility, but what has happened, as I told you, is compared to the Army and the Air Force, the Navy is a high-tech service.
Okay. So right at the induction level itself, they are taking higher skilled people.
Now, therefore, you come to this very important aspect of training. So, like the Air Force has got a integrated training command in Bangalore.
Okay.
The Army has got the Army Training Command in Shimla, which is a proper General Officer Commanding, Air Officer Commanding. Okay. The Navy does not have a training command per se. But the training duties of the Navy are performed out of Cochin. The headquarters Southern Naval Command is also the training command.
Training command, okay.
Which means all the training establishments of the Navy, they come under the training, the headquarters Southern Naval Command.
It's like they report to that.
They report. Now, what do they do? You know, we have 2 or 3 types of training, generically, right? Right from entry-level training for officers, which is at the Naval Academy, let us say, and the entry-level training for the ratings, which we pick them up, again at different levels. You can pick them as a raw recruits, if you want to call them that, at a place called Chilka, which is INS Chilka, which is in Odisha. That is equivalent to, really this is equivalent to the centers, where when you join the army, you go to the Maratha center or the Punjab regiment center.
You're a raw recruit and you're taken in.
Go there to the center. So all the sailors, sailors, go to Chilka, and then they branch off into the specialized training establishments.
Okay.
Now, strangely enough, and I think for a long time and for good purposes, the executive branch training is all done based out of Cochin. Okay. So we have what is called the schools, the gunnery school, the
torpedo school. I remember watching.
Well, it's not called torpedo school anymore. It's ASW school, anti-submarine warfare school.
Okay.
The communication school, and all these schools are located in
Cochin.
Yeah. The professional, what we like to call the engineers and the electricals, the engineering establishment is INS Shivaji at Lonavala.
Yes.
And the electrical school is INS Valsora at Jamnagar. Right. So after that basic training in Chilka,
they get sent off to
sailors come here.
One of these.
This is one aspect of it. Second aspect, again, peculiar to the armed forces and specifically for the Navy, you cannot be promoted to a higher rank. I'm still talking of sailors. You can't be promoted to a leading sailor or a petty officer sailor or a chief petty officer sailor, etc., unless you have undergone a training program designed for that particular position.
Okay.
Do you see the difference? Today, in private sector, why do people get promoted?
Well, I guess you need people at higher positions to take
responsibility. People get promoted. When you promote a chap, what are the criteria? Basically, this guy has not been promoted for the last 10 years, let's promote him.
Oh, is that the way?
Second, is this guy has done a damn good job in his present position.
He can take on more.
Let's promote him. Third is, in addition to doing what he's supposed to do in this job, he does many things, all other things at his level, so promote him.
Okay.
And lastly, if you don't promote him, he'll leave the organization. But the most critical thing is, if he gets promoted, he has to hold higher accountability and responsibility.
Yes.
So let's see if he's got that and given that is never done.
Okay.
Pre-promotion.
All right.
In the armed forces, in the Navy specifically, 100% you cannot be promoted until you been through the training program and you qualified in that program. And then you wait.
And your turn comes and you get promoted.
Right. Take the commanding officers. There's a thing called the commanding officers qualifying course, but in submarines. So you have to qualify, and it's called the perishers. In the UK it used to call perishers because very few people qualified. So this is the kind of importance that we give to training. So these establishments, Balsora at Jamnagar, Shivaji at Lonavala, and all these schools in
in Cochin.
All this day. Now, in addition to this, the different dimensions, the aviation branch, the flyer boys, they have their own.
They are the glamour kids of the Navy. So I hear.
What's wrong with the submariners?
Well, you hardly get to be seen.
Yeah, that's
underwater.
True. That is true. So the submariners have their own school. The aviators, because it's different medium.
So let's go to another important aspect. What about the salary of all these people? Does it all? Everybody is a chief petty officer, so he gets the same salary wherever he goes, on whichever ship he serves.
No.
Or again,
if you look at the advertisements which come out in the papers, and genuinely there's been a change. I mean, if it's okay for you to crack a joke on Rumble, sure. But this has been translated so often to Infosys and all that.
Okay.
Just shows how poorly the armed forces are paid, right? But now things are definitely better. You have a running pay band, then you have rank pay, then you have military service pay, then you have qualification pay, then you have hardship allowance. They all
so they all add up to a neat little package?
They definitely add up. When I retired, I don't want your audience to
know.
I'll tell them.
Need not know.
I'll tell them. When I retired, when I took premature retirement as a Commodore, as a submarine qualified, electrical officer in 1993, my pay was, hold your horses, 10,000 rupees.
Well, there you go. You'll go take a bullet if necessary, but that's what you get. Come back, we'll find about this mess that is going on right now, which is in the papers every day. OROP. If you don't know what that is, we'll tell you when you come back. I know that in the army, they say that generally a soldier should either quit or
fade away,
or he's asked to leave and goes up, takes up a civilian life, and he's around 35, 40, I guess.
Yeah.
Who won't be older than that.
Yes.
Is that the same thing in the Navy?
Absolutely.
A sailor will...
Same.
Is that so that he stays fit and that's
absolutely.
The officer can afford to stay not so fit and continue till 60?
No, the armed forces need to be fit, physically fit.
Yeah.
The nature of the job of the armed forces is that you have to be physically fit, mentally alert.
Okay.
Therefore, you need particularly combat positions, commanding troops, commanding ships, etc.
They have to be young and fit.
To be younger. So that is so.
Okay.
Therefore, unlike, say, by and large, government servants who all retire at the age of 60.
Yeah. Here it is.
Armed forces officers don't. Not in the Navy, for example, you have to be a vice admiral to
stay on beyond
60.
Okay.
If you become chief of naval staff, then you retire at 62 or whatever number it is.
All right. But otherwise, you're out at 55.
Below vice admiral, a rear admiral retires at 58.
Okay.
Commodore retires at 56. Foreign captain retires at 54. And it goes down like that.
Okay.
Now,
so active, as you get into the active area, then you have to be younger and younger and younger, naturally.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Therefore, this doesn't happen in the civil services.
I know.
And this is so, and I'm talking the officer level. The Jawans, that is the non-officers, unless you become Master Chief Petty Officer or whatever, the bulk of
will leave
earlier. I don't want to get into a date on this.
Maybe 35, 30?
No, about 40.
40.
Yeah, 40.
Yeah. Okay, but they have pension benefits, which the armed forces have throughout their lives.
Yeah.
Even if they go and take up another job in a civilian area, but they will get the military pension.
Therefore, pension in many societies is thought as deferred payment.
Okay.
So while you are in the armed forces, your salaries have been structured so that part of it could be configured and paid back to you afterwards as a pension.
Do sailors recognize that's the way? That's the idea of being paid, not that just that they serve 10 years and some of their salary has been rerouted to them.
No. It is not that your salary is fixed, is taken away and put away for a pension fund. No, it's not that. In concept, I'm saying.
Okay.
Unfortunately, and I'm saying this with a certain amount of responsibility, every country which has done well as a country has respected its armed forces.
Yeah.
My submission, I've been 29 years in the armed forces and after that 20 years in the corporate sector.
Okay.
Right? It's my submission that this country of ours, we do not respect and recognize what the armed forces do for us. In fact, it's been stated by some honourable member of parliament that, look, nobody asked him to join the army. He joined on his own.
There are some of these callous people
he joined, he's being paid for it. He's paid to take a bullet. Okay. This is the kind of statement.
Well, that's unacceptable to hear stuff like that.
So, but apart from that, how does society honour its own? You take our cricketers. Are cricketers honoured?
Oh, like hell. They are very much honoured.
Isn't it?
All sorts of posts are given to them, dropping the gloves.
So our sportsmen are honoured.
Yeah.
You take our Olympic...
But I guess the numbers of them are very small as compared to the armed forces.
That's not the issue. The point is, Olympic shooter let us say Abhinav Bindra, the golden boy, that chap, for winning a gold medal in some Olympic, he's paid some phenomenal amount.
Crores.
But Jawan Singh, who takes the same thing and
got shot in Kargil,
takes a bullet in Kargil,
correct.
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
That's one aspect. Yeah. Now, I have tweeted about this also. Take, for example, recently we lost an aircraft in Goa. Night flying operations.
Okay. Oh yes, there was a
lady officer on board. Lady officer on board.
Yeah.
She had just about taken part in the Nari Shakti display or whatever.
That's right.
The Republic Day parade.
That's right.
And she was on board that helicopter,
which was lost at sea.
Which was lost, and the channels couldn't care. Nothing.
Or maybe they can't even get on board these aircrafts to bring on these one-to-one life stories. Is it easy for the press to come on?
There are both ways. Yes, in today's papers, you've seen...
About Kalia, Captain Kalia.
Kalia is one, and then Mukund Varadarajan.
Yes.
Major Mukund Varadarajan.
Yes. So I think the odd instances are taken and...
But who reads and who's bothered?
So, I wouldn't say that. I mean, we don't have a history and tradition of martial...
we had.
We
had that.
Maybe centuries ago.
The two greatest epics of our country, the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, both are on the battlefield. It's about the Bhagavad Gita, which is supposed to be the ultimate...
Oh yeah, that is...
related...
Break ke baad, we'll resume the battle. Right now, listen to the Bhagavad Gita. That's how that was narrated. Right there on the battlefield.
Yeah.
That's true.
So we have lost our ethos of respecting our armed forces.
What needs to be done?
Oh, brilliant question. What needs to be done?
What would satisfy the armed forces?
The armed forces need not be satisfied.
No, I mean, there must be a rankling inside them. And damn, I've done all this stuff and I still get kicked around from here to there.
I'll tell you, see...
What do they want?
Come back to the Jawans whom we said will retire early, at 40.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then keep that aside and look at because unlike again in the private sector or in the government sector, where every gentleman, I'm given to understand, I may be corrected, that everybody who passes that examination to end all examination, the IAS examination, he is assured to become an additional secretary to the government of India. This is what is believed.
Okay.
Whereas additional secretary rank, again the bureaucrat, actually in my view there should be no equation between an armed forces rank and a non-armed forces rank. I am a Commodore of the Indian Navy, I equate only to a Commodore of the Indian Navy. I don't even consider myself equivalent to Brigadier of the Indian Army. That's a different story. But pay is connected. Right. Now, how many people in the Indian Navy get to Vice Admiral rank? How many get to Rear Admiral rank? How many get to Commodore rank?
Negligible.
So people, they retire earlier with a vast amount.
But isn't that a bit of comparing apples and oranges?
No.
One is another type of service, this is another type of service.
I am saying you have a trained human resource pool, disciplined, hardworking, professional, knowledgeable. Take the Navy, which is high-tech, kind of technology.
So what happens to all these sailors when they quit?
They waste out. So so you want to know what somebody should do, society should do, or the government should have a strategic plan for utilizing the talent of the armed forces guys who are being wasted out.
Okay. So we have a problem in our country right now with the skilling thing not really measuring up. So in another completely different episode, the Commodore and I are actually going to talk about why not use all these hundreds and hundreds of thousands of qualified people who can do all kinds of amazing things on the battlefield, off the battlefield, to push our industrial thing going ahead. So maybe that's what I need to ask you about. Commodore, thanks a lot for coming. There's so much to talk about. One rank, one pay, that's been rankling. We've not even got to that.
Right.
We will talk in another episode.
Sure, Madhav.
But thanks for coming.
Always a pleasure being on Rumble. Thank you.
Thank you.